Hi, everybody. Here I am recording another lecture. I really did not want to do this time, but things didn't go according to plan again. And here we are. Let's get right into it. So in today's recitation, we'll be covering intermediate HTML. We'll build on top of what we learned last week with basic HTML. So let's have a brief look at the agenda. We'll be looking at how to link multiple HTML files. We'll be looking at how to link images to files, external images, local files in your PC, and we'll also be linking external images and other folders and relative path names. So let's get into it. So firstly, copy this link. You'll find it in the folder where I post all my recitation documents. Copy the link, go to the link, and you'll find 4 documents in the link: Netherlands v2.html, paradox.html, magret5.jpg, burned-russell.jpg. And please download all of those documents. Since a lot of you might be repeating this, I realize a lot of you face issues with this, including myself. I faced an issue with this in the middle of the class as well. If you have multiple copies of this file, the same files, it kind of messes it up. So delete your old copies if you have any, and then keep just one copy of each file, so that your relative paths don't get confused. And when you say do paradox.html, your PC confuses which paradox.html to open. So let's make a folder for this, and let's name it. I'll name it lecture 3. You can name it whatever you want. And I'll move it to my documents. And here it is, lecture 3. So now let's go to Visual Studio Code and open. Oh, it opened up what I did in class. Let me close this. Now I'll go to File, Open Folder. This is where your path should be. I'll go to Documents, Lecture 3, which is my folder. And if I get open, I should see all my 4 files. And I do. I see all the 4 files. So ideally, again, you should see all your files, but delete your duplicate copies. So the web page works as intended. A lot of you face issues with that, including myself. So let's not create duplicate copies, which confuses the PC. Just keep one copy, and that should work fine. So once you're done with downloading, that's the first step. Double click on all the files and check to see if they all open. Once they do, now we'll be doing this on a task basis. And since most of you have already done it in class, let this be a practice. Do this before I show you how to do it. So we'll be using a tag, the anchor tag, and the href attribute of a tag refers to whatever document or link that you want to refer the document to. And upon clicking that, the text here, it'll take you to the document if you've linked it to a document, and if you've not, will not take you. And as I mentioned already, the href attribute mentions the actual destination of the file that you want to be linked, or the link that you want to be linked. So let's do this task. Insert a link to the text. Rene Magritte in Netherlands v2 file towards the bottom of it. Artists in neighboring countries section. Yeah, don't give an actual target yet, and see what happens. Now enter the paradox of HTML. This is the second part. Let's first do the first part. I'll show you how to do it. Open Netherlands_v2.html. If you go towards the bottom, you'll find Belgian painter Rene Magritte, and this is exactly what we want. And this is nothing but to make the E with an accent with the, that's why we're doing that. Otherwise it would just be RENE Magritte. So don't worry about that. Let's use the a tag, anchor tag, href equal to double quotes, Again, this can be double quotes or single quotes. It doesn't matter. HTML reads both the same way. So does a lot of other programming languages, Python and so on. So here you can use double or single quotes. It doesn't matter. Let's copy this and paste it here. So a tag does have an end because as we mentioned already, when you start a link, when you start an anchor, there needs to be an end to an anchor. Otherwise, your document will not know where to end. And the anchor, so here we have a /a and ahref, and we're basically making Rene Magritte a link. Let's do file save. Remember, file save every time you make a change. Let me go and open the file. Within documents, lecture 3, Netherlands video.html, open with, I'll do Google Chrome. So you can go down and see that Rene Magritte is indeed a link. If you did not have the ahref, which you wouldn't in your first assignment 2, you would just see Rene Magritte here. If I click on it, it doesn't take me to anywhere. It just goes to the same page again, because we have not given anything in the href part here. As you can see, it's empty. Ideally, you would want to link it to some other web page or some other document, which we can do here. Let's try giving paradox.html again. It auto completes. VS Code is smart. Let's do save. Let's reload this. So now if I click on Rene Magritte, it should take me to the paradox.html file. Yeah, so this is the whole point of showing this. Maybe I'll put my phone on focus. Yep. Yeah, this is the whole point of it. So we want Rene Magritte, once we click Rene Magritte, it to open the paradox.html file, which talks about both Russell and Rene Magritte. And yeah, it works as intended. Let's go back to the presentation and get going. Save the file. So now let's attach images to our web page. The syntax for image attaching images, image src alt. And as you can see here, the image tag does not have a /image equivalent or an ending equivalent, because the image, it just starts and ends to the size of the image. It knows, the HTML knows where to end the image. You don't have to specifically specify and say, here's where you need to end, right? That's the reason why image doesn't have end, BR, break rule, horizontal rule. All of these, break rule breaks only till the end of the page. Horizontal rule draws a line only till the end, to the width of the page. So these do not need corresponding ending tags with a slash, and image is one of them. So image src is basically the source file, is a source image that you want to open, or it could be a link, external link. We'll go through that in detail later. And alt is what you would want your web page to display if your source is not working as intended. So when you use a web page, when you see error, whatever, 101, 90, whatever, all those errors are displayed using the alt system. And that's exactly what we want. We want to use alt attribute to display what the image would be if it doesn't work. And we can use it for that, and I'll show you how to do it later on. Yep, let's get that going. And before I do it, please try it out by yourself, since we've already done this in class. So you can do image, source, Magritte's pipe, and we'll go through this. Pause it right here, try it out, and if you're not able to do it, then click on play and then continue watching. I'll show you how to do it. Image src, source. Here it's Magritte's paradox, so we want Magritte pipe.jpg here. Let's do that. And let's do alt equal to Magritte's pipe. I think I ended up putting a comma here instead of a full stop. Yep, it should autocomplete. If your link is fine, it should autocomplete. And if you just hover over it, it should say follow link. And if you click on follow link, it should open the image. So that way, you know, your linking it is working the way you intended to, and it should do this. And let's do the same for Russell as well. And let me take this off and change the source. And for this, the source is supposed to be burnt.russell.jpg. As you can see, it auto completes, which is a cool feature. And when you hover over it and click on follow link, it should open the image to confirm that you're using the right source. If your source is not right, Visual Studio Code will not do that. Let's do burnt.rid Russell. Yep. And let's click on file save and see what happens with the web page now. Let me have this in another window. Yep. Let's click on reload and go to Renee Magritte. And as you can see now, we have both the images, an image of burnt.rid Russell and an image of one of Renee Magritte's popular drawings or paintings. And it says, this is not a pipe. Renee Magritte was known for being a witty artist, and people back in the day found this funny. I wish I was a comedian back then, but yeah, it's apparently it's meant to mean that this is not a pipe, this is a drawing of a pipe, play with words, and people found it interesting. Simpler days. So yeah, let's get back into it. We've done this. We have alt. I'll show you when the alt kicks in, when the image doesn't work. Let's go back to the presentation. Referring links, the name attribute of a tag specifies the target for the link. And we can use targets here, referring specific links. So ideally in this page, in a functional web page, in this scenario, when you're in Netherlands v2.html and you click on Renee Magritte, you would want it to take you to the part where we talk about Magritte's paradox and not Russell. So, but it doesn't work that way right now. When I click on Renee Magritte, it just takes me to Russell's paradox, and that's not what we want. Ideally, we want it to start here. So the same way when you click on the way since you guys started using W3 Schools now, when you click on a certain thing in W3 Schools, it takes you to that part of the web page, and that's a pretty cool thing, right? We can implement something like that here, and I'll show you how to do that. Let's go back to the slide and try it out by yourself again, since we've done this in class, and this is a repetition. You know how to do it. Instead of using the href part, you use the name tag, a name attribute, and you name it something, and you refer to that using the hashtag in your place where you're calling it. So let's try this out. This did not work for me in class because my file system was getting confused with two different files, because in one of the previous lectures that I did, I had the same file name the same way, and it was opening the wrong file, and I had an error. I think some of you had the same error. I try to solve it as much as possible after class, but you still face the issue when you're trying it again now. Try deleting those files and creating new first copies, download those copies again from the beginning. Make sure you get rid of all the other older copies and try it out, and it should work. We were able to fix it for a few students like that. Yeah, so let's go back to VS Code. And right here, where we mention, Magritte's paradox. So let's paste this instead of that. And again, you can type it if you want, but it's pretty much the same. Instead of just having a heading of Magritte's paradox, what we're doing here is creating a anchor tag with name attribute and naming this heading as Magritte's paradox, so that when we refer it in Netherlands.html, it knows where to come and where to which part of the page to open. So let's try to do it without referring it in Netherlands_v2.html. Let's just save this and let's see what happens. Again, what do you expect to happen here? nothing should happen, right? Because when I click on rename Magritte, it should again take me to the beginning of the web page and not Magritte's paradox, because we haven't changed Netherlands_v2.html here to refer to that name. We've ideally what we've done here is essentially just create a name and named your heading as Magritte's paradox with a tag, and you're not referring to that name anywhere. And if you refer to the name, so again, I'm back to Netherlands v2.html, and only if I refer, I think it is blocking it, this part of the screen. How do I get it out? Okay, so I hope you can see this. This is paradox.html, Netherlands_v2.html. So here in the place where Rene Magritte was linked, you put on hashtag Magritte, whatever you named it there. It doesn't have to be Magritte. It can be, I can name this anything I want. My name here can be anything I want, but that name should be the same here after the hash. So wherever you're linking it to the document, put a hash after that, and then whatever name you had, and click on File Save. And if I reload my web page, go back and click on Rename Magritte, it takes me to Magritte's paradox. This is how it's supposed to work. And this is what I was trying to show you in class as well, but it broke off a bit, and it took me a while to get this fixed because I had multiple files with the same name, paradox.html. So make sure that's not the case, and your link here should show again hash Magritte as well. It's a pretty cool feature if you ask me. It taking it to a particular part of the web page. And you can do this not just for the heading tag, you can do this anywhere. You can just name any part of your HTML file a name. You can name it something, and then you can, when you're linking another link to that file, you can call that link with that hash of that name. So this is a pretty cool feature. Go through the slides. It tells you in detail how to do it again. Keeping up with the theme of doing it with the tasks. Again, try out another thing. You know how to now change the height and width of the image. I showed it to you in class, but let's do it again. Again, the way HTML works is if you just change either the height or the width tag, the other one automatically changes and scales to the original image. So if you have a 16:9 aspect ratio for an image, and if you say change the height to, I don't know, 160, your width will remain at 90. So it automatically scales to that length and width, to that width if based on the height, or that height based on the width. It's enough to just change one attribute if you want to keep the original aspect ratio. But if you want to play around with the aspect ratio, if you want to stretch the image, you can do that. You can do a lot of different things, and I'll show you how that works. Let's go back. And the main purpose we're doing this is because Russell's picture is pretty big, and we want him to fit in the page. We don't want him to be this big. Let's do it. So the image tag has another attribute. So all of these, so all the tags are always in dark blue, and attributes of tags are always in light blue, as you can see. Image is a tag, and SRC is an attribute. So what is an attribute? How do you explain an attribute? An attribute can be, so if you take me, for example, my nose is an attribute of mine. My ears are my attributes, my eyebrows, my hands, my fingers, all of these are my attributes. My lips, my beard, all of these are my attributes, right? So the same way an image has multiple attributes, and an image tag here has source, height, width, alt. It has multiple attributes. And we're leveraging another attribute here in height. And let's do 300. And let's click on save. Let's go back and reload. And he's reduced. So let's try changing the width as well. As you can see, the aspect ratio is maintained here. It just shrunk the image with the same aspect ratio, but if you want to stretch the image out, let's try doing width as well. Width equal to, I don't know, let's do something incredibly big to show how it feels. Save. And as you can see, he's stretched out now. Russell's getting pulled apart, which is not ideal, but you can play around with the width as well. You can play around with the attributes, and you can make it fit how you want in your web page. But let's change this back and get it fixed. Let's get Russell back to the original configuration. And we can do the same for Magritte's paradox as well. And I'll do 200 here. File save, reload. And I think this looks good enough. Both the images look small enough and kind of fits in the page in one go without having to scroll a lot. Back to the presentation. This task just mentions how to do it. So this in itself should provide you a guide on how to do it, even without the video. And that was the purpose of me making this slide with the task slide in between each where I explain how to do it. So hopefully I don't have to record another lecture for a next recitation. Or I'll try to do it in class. I'll try to have my Zoom running, because there's no infrastructure in those labs don't support recording. They don't have mics in those podiums. So I'll maybe put on my AirPods and start a Zoom call just like this and record my PC screen. I think that should work. Yep, we'll try something like that. But for now, this should do. We can link external web pages as well. Again, I showed you how to do it. So instead of the same way you did ahref your document here, instead of doing paradox.html, you can do an external link in the same href part, and it will link you to that document. And let's see how to do that here. And let's do it for Bertrand Russell's name, right? Let's get this to work as a hyperlink. When we click on Bertrand Russell, we wanted to take it to his page, his web page. Let's check that out. Go back to the slide. And this is his web page. Copy the link here. You'll be able to find this in Canvas. I think this is where a lot of you struggled, having to switch between tabs. So have my presentation open, VS Code open, and follow along. And I can understand that. And that's the whole reason I'm recording this. Let's get this. So a href equal to, in double quotes, get the link there, close it. You have the /a that you want at the end of Russell, which is his last name. So his full name becomes a link here. So the space between a and /a is a link. This is a link. And this becomes the hyperlink that you click, that you see. Bertrand Russell is what you'll see. But when you click it, it takes you to this. And if you click on follow link here, it'll show you the web page. But again, it's to show that the link works. When you hover over, it should show something like this. Otherwise, you're not pasting the right link, or you either didn't copy it properly or something like that. File save. Then we go back to the web page, reload. Bertrand Russell's name becomes a link. When I click on it, it takes me to his Stanford web page. And yeah, it's a functional web page. It's looking more like a functional web page now. And this is what you would want, as a lot of you mentioned, you want when you want to create a business, or when you want an online business, an e-commerce business, whatever that you guys mentioned, your Google Forms. That is, this is exactly how you would want it to work. You would want a structured set of images and some text. I don't know. And this starts to look more like a well-rounded web page, and not something that you just put together in school. So let's go back. And let's do the same for Renee Magritte, but I don't have the link here. We can Google Renee Magritte, copy her Wikipedia page, I don't know, whatever. And yep, instead of, oh, no, let's do it in a name with Renee, yep, Renee Magritte. Let's do a href. And the link right there, close it, gives us the /a tag, which should copy and paste right here after last name. So a/a and Renee Magritte will be displayed. This will take you to her Wikipedia page. File, save, go back, reload, becomes a link. Click on the link, it takes you to her, to his page. Let's go back to the presentation. Now let's add external pictures to the page. Again, we did this in class as well. It's very simple, the same way you did for an image that was in your PC, but instead of your source being your the file name in your PC, it'll just be a link, and it's pretty straightforward. Again, try this out by yourself. Pause the video right here. Try it out, and if you cannot, then play the video and see it again. This is the web page that I want you to go to find the image. These have a lot of stock images. And as we did, we can search for Margaret's hometown, I guess. The scenes, I don't know how it's pronounced. It's a town in Belgium. So let's do that. Belgium. It doesn't look really that interesting. Let me just do Les Scenes. We want our web page to look a little good. So let's maybe, I don't know. This makes it look pretty good. Let's copy. So right click on the image and click on copy image address, copy image path, image, something like that, image source. Depending on the browser you use, it will change, but it should say something along the lines of copy image address. Click on that. Go back to your web page, and right before, after the part where we talk about Margaret, right before the /body tag ends your body, let's do an image src, and the source can be your the link that you copied, and let's do an alt as well in case the link doesn't work and it fails. Let's do the town's name followed by where it is, Belgium. So when we click on file, save, my bad if it's blocking your view, you should be able to see it now. All I did is image source equal to, in double quotes, the link, and alt is the name of the place. Save and go back, reload. You should see the image here. Again, we can resize the image to make it appropriately fit into the web page. It seems too big. Let's do that. Height equal to, I'll do 300 again, or maybe 250. I don't know. Whatever works. File save. Reload. Yep, looks good. Yeah, that's that. And yeah, again, these are the task portion of the presentation is for you to try it out and follow along. And it will give you hints here and there to do the same. Relative path names. This is where a lot of you had errors, and this is where my error in class was an issue as well, because when you have multiple files with the same name, your path name is very important. If some of you have used the command prompt or the terminal in your PC or your laptops, you would know what a relative path name is. So I'll show you. I'll open my terminal and show you how it is. So when you go into your terminal, it says, I'll do a cd command. This is again out of scope for the lecture, but it's something interesting, something that you guys can know. If you do cd or I'll do ls, it's just a command where it shows you all of your documents. So your relative, so this is how your file system is, right? Your laptop has a file system, and you have applications, documents, library, pictures, and so on. So if I want to go to say documents, I would do cd/documents. Oh, no such file or directory. It usually is not a good sign because you either gave a wrong name. Yeah, if you just do the first few characters or just a couple of characters and click on tab, it will show you what is there. And if I do say down, and if I click on tab, it'll auto complete it for me. And if I change directory, it goes to download. And let me go back. And if I do cd inside downloads, say I have a particular document that I want to go to or particular folder. Let me take downloads off. Let me show you what's there in my downloads. So let's say data, for example, right? Data is in my downloads. So let's go to cd downloads / so it means there is data folder inside downloads. If I do that, it moves me to data. Now, if I do ls, you'll be able to see everything that's in the data folder. That is casehold.csv and vccasehold.csv. And this is what a relative path is. You can play around with your terminal. It's very interesting. When I started off programming, it was a very interesting thing, the relative path name. You can all try it out. But that is essentially what we'll be doing here. But the equivalent for HTML, and let me show you what I mean when I say that. Let's find the place where we have this stored. It's in documents, lecture 3. And again, the purpose for doing this is when you have a lot of documents and a lot of files inside a certain folder, you tend to get confused and you would want to organize them in a certain way to make it easier for you. So let me create a new folder and name it images, right? I want to put my images in there. And let me move Bernard Russell in there. Get in. Oops. Yep. And Margaret Pipe as well. That way all the images will be inside the images folder. I was struggling with this. Yep. So the images are in the images folder. We have the 2 HTML files outside. So if we go back to Visual Studio Code, you see that it's changed that as well. And if you click on File, Save, what do you think will happen now with your web page? Again, since we went through this in class, you're supposed to know it, but regardless. So here, again, remember, if you go back to your Visual Studio Code, here, you're just saying Bernard Russell.jpg inside lecture 3, right? Lecture 3 is the folder we have open, and there's no Bernard Russell here. I don't see any Bernard Russell listed here, and I don't see magretpipe.jpg listed here either. So what do you think the computer is going to read? It doesn't see a Bernard Russell.jpg or a magretpipe.jpg, right? So it will not read anything. There's no file here that says Bernard Russell.jpg or magretpipe.jpg. So let's reload the web page and see what happens. As you can see, the link is broken, and we can see Bernard Russell and Margaret's pipe because we put in the alt tag, and this is the purpose of using the alt tag. If you don't put in the alt tag, there won't be anything there, but we put an alt just to show that if the link breaks, this is where the image should be. And this is a good use of it. So if you want it to work, you should do, again, your folder's name. Again, I noticed that some of you had done this mistake as well. You named your folder something else, but here you just followed along with me and put in images \, and if you do that, it should show you the document name. If it shows that, then it means that you're using the right path, the right relative path, the file path. So it shows me here, I'm clicking on Bernard Russell, which is already there. Again, I'm doing images, and it shows me Margaret Pipe as well. And it is images / the file name, the picture's name here for me because I have my folder named images. But if I name my folder something else, then it will be that name / Bernard Russell. So let's do this. File save. I'll show you how that works as well. Let's reload, and voila, we're back. Yeah, so that is how relative path name works, and I'll show you how to do it if let's sort of rename this. I don't know, whatever we rename it to, Russell and Margaret, whatever its name is, you just do that name here and it should work. Yeah, and then Russell, and the same way Russell and Margaret pipe. So if again your link is working, if you're using the right relative path, if you click on follow link, it should take you to that document that you're referring to. Is a good way to check it. Just hover over it, just don't click on it. But if you see follow link and click on the link, and if it takes you to the right document, then it works the right way. Click on file save, and if I reload it, it should work again. Yep, that's about it. So your relative path is just, or I can have, for example, I'll show you another example. I can have another folder here where it says Russell and Margaret, right? And we can keep each picture in that particular folder to further kind of organize it. And let me do this. Russell, Margaret. Now here, my relative path now will be Russell, and then, so as you can see, Russell and Margaret, that's the home folder from lecture 3, which I have open, which is where my HTML files are. I go into Russell and Margaret //, and then I go into Russell, which has burnt.russell.jpg, right? Now it'll work properly again because I'm using the right file system, the relative path. And it shows me the thing again, file save. Again, I'll wait here so that you guys understand this. We go from lecture 3 / Russell and Margaret. You do another /, you have both Margaret and Russell as 2 separate folders. You go to that folder, and inside each of those folders, you have their own pictures. So it'll work perfectly. But if I do what I had before without the Russell and Margaret, it will not work. Again, because if inside Russell and Margaret, there is no Margaret pipe.jpg or Russell.jpg. This is all it has. If I open it, this is all it has. It just has 2 folders. It doesn't have any images. It doesn't have JPG files in it. So it will not open them. Let me click on save. And if I reload it, it's broken again because, as I showed you, it's inside Margaret and Russell. So if you do the Margaret and Russell part, it'll work. Yep. That's about it. That's for today's lecture. You guys get to review it again. I should tell you that you're really lucky that I'm recording this again. No other TA does it. I should get paid twice for doing this. Yeah, so let's I'll put in a form in the description of this video. Please, I really request you give me feedback. It'll be a form for a feedback because I'm really trying. I'm trying hard to make these lectures work, but for some reason or the other, the last time it was a technical issue that ruined the lecture, and this time it seemed to be too fast. But with section 7, it seems to be going really well for me. So I want to know, I want to correct myself or change myself in a way as to fit into your section 1's mold. And in the end, I just want you guys to be successful in this course and, you know, take away everything you can and learn from it. So I'll put a form in the description. Please fill it out and give me any sort of feedback. It'll be totally anonymous. It doesn't collect your email ID or whatever. I won't be able to trace you back. And I want constructive feedback to be able to make myself better, and that way it'll help both of us. So please take a minute or so. It won't even take you a minute. Just whatever feedback you have from today's lecture or previous lectures, put it in there, and I'll really appreciate it. That's about it for today's lecture, and thank you for joining. If you're reviewing this right before your assignment, good luck for your assignment, and don't worry, I'll grade it leniently, but please do give it your all. That's all I ask for. Give it your everything, and I'll make sure you get your grades. Yep, that's about it. Good evening. I'll see you guys in the next lecture. Bye-bye.